My next guest is fighting a legend. He's going to be taking on Clay Guida, UFC 310, December 7th. Doesn't get much better than this. It is Chase Hooper back here on the program. Chase, how you doing, man?
Good. Yeah, like you're saying, getting ready to take on old Clay Guida. So it's been a fun camp so far. Just kind of getting ready for that kind of weird style. At least just like his movement. I feel like he fights pretty. I don't know. He's got a very set style, but it's fun to prepare for, and making sure that cardio's up, and yeah, having a good time so far.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. And we'll talk about the matchup in a second, but obviously a lot bigger news outside the cage. You're now officially a father. Welcome to the club. How have things changed sort of leading into camp with you being Dad Hooper?
Honestly, I feel like the timing couldn't have worked out better as far as at least for the wife giving birth. And, it's kind of hard to time that stuff out, but it really worked out super well. Like I fought in St. Louis, and then I think like less than a month later, she gave birth. So around 3 weeks later, she gave birth. And then we got another, like 2 months, kind of the hard part, at least, of, the newborn stuff, just trying to adjust to the sleep. We're now like, we've got a pretty good schedule. The baby falls asleep at like 9 or 10. So it makes life easy, at least knowing like I can get some sleep,
Right.
which is real important in camp. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it hasn't been too big of a change. I mean, I feel like I'm a lot busier now. I'm just running around trying to, do the work of two people. And then we got to take care of the baby too. So it's like juggling a little more stuff, but, it's fun. I'm enjoying it, and, yeah, having a good time.
That's good. Yeah, it adds another layer for sure. So are you on like the night shift still? You said you're getting your amount of sleep. Like I used to take the early morning shift that because I don't mind getting up earlier. I would go to bed early and then do the early morning shift. For you, is it like you said, it's sort of 9 o'clock is the put down time. Do you have to get up in the middle of the night, or you just get up earlier? How does that work?
It's not too bad, honestly. The wife will wake me up whenever she needs me, and, yeah, I don't know. It's just up for a couple minutes, maybe changing a diaper here and there. I mean, she does the food thing, so,
Right.
just making sure everybody else is fed, her and myself, and then she takes care of the baby. But yeah, no, I swap out with her whenever she needs, trying to, the baby's still very into the mom
Right.
side of things.
That usually
She's
happens. Yeah,
not as big of a fan of me yet, so we're trying to work on it.
for sure.
It'll take time, but yeah, I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah. So again, which is good. It hasn't really affected the schedule too much. Just sort of adding a few extra things, because I know for some people it can be difficult, but it sounds pretty manageable for you. So when did you find out about this fight? Because I feel like this was one of the first fights we found out about on this card. It looks like you got plenty of notice.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm gonna take my sweatshirt off.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I don't want you to get
warmer now.
dehydrated in here. It's weird. We were talking off air. Like it's actually sunny and warm where you are. It's not that way here in Vancouver. It's very, very cold and wet. But yeah,
Maybe we got this coming your way. Who knows?
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they mentioned this fight a while ago. I think UFC really liked the matchup. So they were like really wanting to make it happen. And it seems like maybe it was like a schedule thing with Clay, or he wasn't super wanting the matchup. But, we started being like, okay, what about these names? Like just throwing names out. And then they're like, nope, how about Clay? They originally were going to throw us on the December 14th Tampa card. And then, by the time the contract got around, a week later, we were on the pay-per-view a week earlier. So, no complaints there at all. But I think they were talking about this fight definitely like, maybe late July or August.
Oh, nice. Okay. Lots of notice. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was really no date. I was like pretty adamant about trying to get on like October or November. And then those all started filling up, and then it was like, okay, how about December? Like I just want to get in before the end of the year. But yeah, no, I mean, it worked out the way it worked out, and I'm pretty happy with it. It'll be cool to get back into T-Mobile again, with about 5 years from my first time in T-Mobile. So yeah, it'll be cool. Hopefully a little more people there than when I fought the first time. So,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also nicer, closer to where you live, right? Vegas, as opposed to going all the way to Florida. So you kind of, dodged a bullet that way, which is great. Any surprises fighting Guida in the sense that, like, I know he's coming off, I think, 3 losses. I know there's some questions of whether or not, like, the UFC was going to keep him around. Obviously, he's an OG and fans love him and stuff. But was there any sort of surprises from that end? Just because, some people weren't sure what the future was going to hold for Clay.
I mean, I think he's still like, if you watch his fights, it's not like
Yeah, he's not on like a huge decline. That's true. Those 3 losses,
no,
it's not like
it's
he's
not
getting
like
finished, right? Yeah.
like a BJ Penn, or like, like we've been seeing maybe a little bit from Tony, these type of guys where it seems like they aren't really putting up a fight. Like Clay's still in there and he's still doing the damn thing. Like he's still got, he's still a dog in the fight. So it's not like I'm definitely not discounting it. Like, obviously we grappled a couple years ago. I think my jiu-jitsu is better, but I don't ever see Clay Guida in the gi. He's always in the singlet. And I would say, it adds some fun layers, like when we're able to now add the strikes and everything that MMA entails, the cage even, like it's going to be pretty interesting to just see how that translates. But I'm prepared for that full 15 minutes of just that pace that he puts. That's how he's got to where he is he's just such a grinder, and it's really fascinating to see a guy with that style stick around as long as he has. I mean, you look at other guys that have been around a long time, like a Wonder Boy or like a Damian Maia. These guys that have styles that are maybe a little safer, versus Clay is just kind of like he's going out there, he's brawling, he's wrestling the whole time. Like, that seems like a really aggressive style on your body, but I think he doesn't cut a ton of weight, so that helps. But just the longevity he's had is impressive.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. And is there much you sort of take away from, you mentioned, you had the grappling fight, and obviously there's a lot of tape on Clay. It's not like you're fighting some newcomer where you got to go watch a lot of tape. Does that make it a bit easier? Just, having grappled him, and also that the fact, I know he's got a different style than some of the fighters that you fought, but also you're also fighting a guy that, like I said, there's a lot of tape on.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's the old adage of, like, teaching an old dog new tricks. Like, he fights the way he fights. He's had 36 UFC fights. He's probably not changing his style too much now. So yeah, we have a very good idea of like what to expect. Yeah, I mean, it's really, and the nice thing is, it's a very easy style for me to prepare, like a shorter, stockier wrestler. Just like in the broad generalities of it, versus like, say, I don't know, like a tall striker or another lanky jiu-jitsu guy. Like, there's so many short, stocky wrestlers around. That's there's a plethora of guys that can give me that look, and we've got that so far. It's just like the specific, like, weird kind of movements he does. That's kind of one of the more interesting parts, and I think it's more fun to try and
Solve the puzzle.
solve that puzzle a little bit. Yeah. Honestly, it just it makes training so much more fun when I actually have an opponent. So I have like a style that I'm training for, instead of just like, going in to help everybody else out, help them with their fights, which is, it's part of the business. But it's a lot more fun when I have a guy, and Clay Guida is a fun matchup. And again, like, the emphasis on this camp is pushing the pace, and it's gonna hopefully have a ton of fun scrambles. It's gonna be a great fight, and yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Is there anyone you can even bring in to mimic him? Like, have you brought any guys, or is it just about like getting your training partners to act like him? How does that work?
Honestly, I have a guy honestly around the same size. He's a little shorter than me, obviously. He's like 5'8", so maybe even taller than Clay, walking at like 65, which I think Clay actually walks around that. I think, if I remember, that's what he told me. He's not super big, which is why he's able to have that cardio. So my guy's a very similar size, very similar style. He likes to wrestle anyways. So it's just been like, honestly, it's literally just been telling him like, hey, just keep doing that weird head movement. Just, pick that up, and then, toss some overhands, fake some shots, come up with, the looping punches, all that. Like, it's really not been, it's not a style that takes a rocket scientist to dismantle. It's a pretty easy style, again, for me to be able to get guys to mimic. And yeah, it's been fun so far.
Who have you had a chance to work with? You talk a little bit about training partners. Who are some of the other names, maybe even names that we're going to be hearing about pretty soon here that are on the come up?
My guy Lando, the old space pirate. He's that's my guy. He's the 45er, soon to be 35er. He's pretty small. He's a pro. He's out of our gym. He's been out for a while. Been out of our gym for a while, so he's coming up. I've been training with the guys up in Seattle at Ivan Salveri's gym. That's been good. You know, just getting different looks. I don't feel like I need anything crazy. I feel like especially like this will be my 10th fight. I feel like I'm really starting, or 10th fight with UFC at least. I feel like I'm starting to figure out exactly how I like my training camps to go, exactly what I need. And yeah, I mean, it's nice that I can, it's hard to travel a little more with the baby as far as like leaving for a week to go train somewhere else. So it's nice, at least for this matchup and for this opponent, that I can, you know, get those looks that I need closer to home, rather than, you know, traveling across the country. So, yeah, just keeping it more at home base. And yeah, things have been going good so far.
Who's making the trip with you to Vegas? Who will be in your corner for this fight?
My guy Lando will be out there. Our guy Eli, the Snack Panther, heavyweight. I like moving around with him a little bit. He's probably one of the more athletic heavyweights. Doesn't beat me up too much. Yeah, we'll see if we can get him on Contender or something next year. Same thing with Lando. And then my coach Jeff Hoagland since day one. Yeah, I mean the same guys I've had for the past, you know, 3 or 4 fights. We got a really good group. It's always, you know, it's fun. I like having fun with the guys. You know, even when I'm feeling, you know, down from the weight cut, or, you know, feeling the nerves from, you know, pre-fight jitters, that type of thing. It's just fun to have a good group of guys you can joke around with. And I feel like that's a really big part for me for the camps, is like making it fun and making it a good time, because that just lets everything else be easier. And, you know, there's just so much time that is left just sitting there. So it's nice to be able to have fun while we're just waiting for stuff to happen, because, you know, out of that whole week that we're going to be out in Vegas, I only need to be there for about, you know, 15 minutes. That's all they need me for. And the rest of it's just waiting or making weight. You know, it's all preparation stuff, you know, so the rest of that time is just downtime. So it's having fun with the guys. And yeah, it'll be that way, I'm sure.
And I'm pretty sure this is the oldest opponent you fought in your career. Like, I was just thinking about it. You were born, I think, 1999, September 1999. Clay Guida made his MMA debut in 2003. So you would have been like an infant when he was starting his career. Has that crossed your mind at all, just how much older Clay is in this fight in the age gap?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you know, being the younger guy anyways, like kind of coming in, you know, when I did, I kind of stopped thinking about the age thing. But yeah, I mean, Clay's been at it for a minute. You know, he's had, what did I say, 36 UFC fights, and I don't even know how many pro, like just a ton of fights overall. And, you know, that's a lot of mileage. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm thinking too much about the age thing. I'm not counting this guy out. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. You know, he's a dog in the fight. You know, he's got great cardio, great pace, great wrestling. There's a lot for me to, you know, be on my toes about. And, yeah, I mean, I just think it's a fun matchup, honestly, and it's going to be cool to step in there with a guy of that caliber.
How's this fight playing out? How do you see it unfolding on December 7th?
Honestly, I kind of have a hard time picturing it. I really think I'm going to have to see what he's doing. If I had to guess, he's probably going to want to stand more. So if I'm doing my job and keeping it long, which, you know, I should be doing, I've got a significant reach advantage, significant height advantage. So if I'm using that, you know, I think it'll probably force him into the wrestling, you know, so I'm hoping we'll get some bad desperation shots out of him, and then grapple him up, you know, whether we get out of there in the first round or whether we go all 15, I'm here for it. And preparing for worst case scenario, just a dog fight for 15 minutes. But yeah, best case, just slip on in there, choke him out, and, you know, call it a night. But we'll see.
One thing I forgot to mention, you're actually sharing this card with Michael Chiesa. Have you guys fought on the same card before? I was trying to remember that.
I don't think so. He actually was up here a couple weeks ago, and we just got some rounds in on a Saturday.
That's That's got to be
Yeah,
cool
it'll be
though.
interesting.
Having you know, familiar face there and someone that you know is repping the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun hanging out with those guys. Just another, more guys to hang around with, and because most of the time when you're at like a UFC card, you're just in your own little bubble. So it'll be cool to have other people to talk to and like not have it just all be about me, I guess.
Mhm.
Be like, oh, how's your guys' weight cut going? And then go screw around with those guys in Vegas. Yeah, it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Where does a win over Clay Guida put you in your opinion? Do you think you get into the rankings, or like what's sort of your thoughts? I know lightweight's still relatively new for you, but what are the implications of a victory here?
I think that'll push me up to 4-0 at lightweight. Undefeated at lightweight. So I think that would push me definitely towards finding someone at the top of the rankings. Ideally, I would say maybe a certain British fella loses to Moicano or something. I think he wanted to fight Moicano. So if Paddy loses to Moicano, which I think Moicano's on a hot streak right now, I think he gets that win. I wouldn't mind taking that fight, if I beat Clay. I think that'd be a really fun one. It'd be a good step up. Making my way towards the top 15. If not, honestly, lightweight's so stacked. There's just so many guys on the outskirts of the top 15 that are still top notch. And, I think it'd be cool to have a number next to my name. But, as long as I'm, staying busy, getting fights in, I couldn't, care too much about it. But, yeah, the Paddy fight, everybody liked that fight. I just want to see my grappling against his. I'm genuinely curious. You see a guy that's good at jiu-jitsu in your same division, same-ish weight. I think he's a little more than me outside of camp. But, you just get curious. You're like, oh, I want to see how good he is. And it's only one way to do that. And it'd be nice to get paid in order to do it.
There we go. Already got it figured out. And you got a couple fights left on your contract? I was trying to remember that.
Yeah, so we just re-signed a new deal before this one. So it's another 4-fight
Awesome.
deal. This fight will be the first. Yeah, I got a nice little pay bump. And, yeah. Still here.
There you go. Pay bump for the new dad, and he's fighting a legend here on UFC 310. Life's pretty good for Chase Hooper these days. Chase, thanks for doing this. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, sponsors, social media, anything like that, I'll give you the last word.
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me. Good talking to you. And, yeah, see you guys in Vegas.